Wood University necessarily share all the views expressed in its programs. They are, however, presented as public information.
Good afternoon and welcome to Second Chance. Second Chance is a weekly talk show that examines a wide range of social issues and seeks to inspire physical, emotional, social, and spiritual healing, believing that God is a God of second chances. And through faith, all things are possible. Second Chance airs live each week from the beautiful campus of Oakwood University and features real people with real issues and offers real answers. And now, here's your host, Kenneth Anderson.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson. As always, delighted to be here with you in the studio for the broadcast Second Chance. Second Chance airs every Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time from the campus of Oakwood University. And of course, this is our opportunity to share information and perspective about a variety of things that we think would be of some interest to you. We, of course, have this opportunity and have had this opportunity now for the past 33 plus years as we are in the middle of celebrating our 33rd year on the broadcast. Excited as always to be able to speak to you and to be able to share information with you. And as we start the broadcast today, I want to remind us all that every show this year is being dedicated to the memory of my mother-in-law, Mother Ernestine Fletcher Tibbs, who passed on December the 11th. My wife and I are still dealing with that transition and all of that stuff that comes along with that. But I do want to let you know that every day gets a little bit easier to understand, process, and deal with. Please continue to keep us in your thoughts and prayers as we continue to navigate the new normal of not having Mother Tibbs here physically to love all over her as we were able to do for the last 2.5 years of her life, that she lived with us in our home. And of course, she just made our home a much sweeter and richer place to be because she was there. And I, of course, take every opportunity to celebrate her life and her legacy by simply talking about her, simply reminding myself about the great joy that she brought into my wife and my life, but to me and my wife from being in our home and allowing us to be able to take care of her with her serious, of course, heart disease. And I know that I am a better person now because of the experience that I had as a primary caregiver supporting my wife and my mother-in-law in that process. I'm going to be announcing in just a few days, perhaps. I know it's imminent now because I've done some things to kind of lay the foundation, the establishment of a brand new scholarship that I am endowing in her name at her alma mater. I did not know she went to Alabama A&M University early in her life before she passed, but I learned that. I learned that although she did not graduate, she wanted to major in social work. And so I'm going to be endowing the Mother Ernestine Fletcher Tibbs Memorial Scholarship for the Alabama A&M University Social Work Department, and it will honor a student who is able to attend school at my alma mater as well, and my wife's alma mater as well, and Mother Tibbs' alma mater, to be able to complete their educational requirements for their degree in social work, either at the undergraduate or graduate level. And I'm just so excited to be able to do it. I'm just waiting for a couple of things to come together right now so that we can make the official announcement. It's going to be a pretty big deal when it happens. But I'm going to invite you to join me in raising the $25,000 that we need to raise. Of course, I'm making an initial endowment. And if you don't know anything about endowed scholarships, they give you several years in order to be able to raise the money that you want to be able to raise in order to endow a scholarship. I find more value in endowed scholarships because they have more ability to sustain educational pursuits over a much longer period of time because of the way that they are established. And so this scholarship is being endowed in her name at the school that she sought to earn a social work degree from so many years ago. And again, something I did not know until after she passed. So I'm just excited to be able to do that. And I look forward to announcing that in just probably a matter of days. And those of you who know me know that I like to hang out on social media from time to time. Not without a purpose, of course. I always do it with a purpose. And I'm looking forward to sharing that journey with you. Talking about sharing that journey, I've been on a journey with this phenomenal person for many years now. And of course, I say that she's a like-minded person. She's a person who is in that space of service and empowering people and inspiring people through her work with Global Strategists Association based in the great city, the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. And I want to welcome once again to this broadcast a part of the Second Chance family. She's none other than the founder of that organization, Aprecia Faulkner. How are you doing, Aprecia?
I am well, Kenny. How are you? Thanks for that great introduction.
Well, you're always going to get that because I really do, I respect you and I admire you, and the work that you do is real stuff. Comes from the heart, and it's making a difference in people's lives. So thank you for being a part of this conversation today, as always.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's always great to join you and your listeners.
Well, listen, just last week, me and the fellas on the What's Going On segment talked about the MLK Jr. national holiday. We also talked about his birthday, which was on the 15th of this month. And so because there's so much swirling around those kinds of things, and I like to share with people and remind some that Dr. King's ministry and his mission was not just a national thing. It wasn't localized to the South, and it just didn't impact people from East Coast to West Coast of the United States. There are many countries around the world who celebrate and acknowledge Dr. King's day and his life and his legacy. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to start out right here with you today because just 1 week removed, but because his work is so encompassing and because of the work that you do specifically on a global nature, I wanted to ask you this question as I've been reflecting on lately. Mm-hmm. What do you think Dr. King would say today if he were alive today?
Ooh. You probably would say so much.
We have a lot to talk about.
Right. I'm not sure. In some regard, I think he would be happy about the trajectory of our young people, just how resilient, how unrelenting they are in their pursuit of justice, equity, and equality. I think he would be moved to know his impact in keeping that spirit going amongst the younger generations in the last 50 years. In other regards, I think he would be a little less celebratory about the state of the world. Unfortunately, where we are with equality around the globe, where we are with poverty, of course, the wealth gap that is increasing daily all across the globe. I think that would be a hard thing for him to swallow, knowing all of the work that he put in. One of the things that I always tell people is that, King gave about 2,500 speeches in his, throughout his career. My favorite speech is his Nobel Peace Prize speech, because it was a speech that I feel does not get a lot of recognition. He was speaking, as a global diplomat around not only what the world needed, but what America needed and needed to do to be able to do what it does around the world. And unfortunately, that speech has been lost, like many others. To the I Have a Dream speech, because it speaks to a different population where you can use erasure as a way to say we celebrated this work in the time, which actually he was not as well liked then and was highly unpopular. And so that was one of my favorite speeches. And I wish that we would look at King, the diplomat, and King, the global leader that I talk to people about and have for years. It's unfortunate that many of our leaders are not seen as global leaders. And what does does that mean when people don't acknowledge the ways in which our, Black leaders like King have been looked at and studied around the world, so that people can have like I guess something to center on what justice looks like and what the road ahead looks like.
Yeah, you made such a great point, and my good friend David Person, of course, who joins me for What's Going On, that was the specific question I asked him last week. I said, we talk about and celebrate I Have a Dream. We even talk about I've Been to the Mountaintop, which is a pretty phenomenal speech as well, the day before he was assassinated. But I asked David to specifically speak to that issue about his speeches, because we oftentimes marginalize his greatness to 3 or 4 speeches that we might know about, and especially I Have a Dream. And David focused on the speech that he made about a year before he was assassinated about the Vietnam War and America's complicity in that war, and how many people believe that that may have even got him assassinated as a consequence of that. And you just take a look at some of those other speeches that he made about real world issues that were not popular with people, that were not common with people or accepted or embraced by people. And Dr. King has so much depth to who he was as a person. It is phenomenal. So on the point of being a global leader and examining that, I concur with you 100% as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, and so is your guest. It's it's when you look throughout the life, it's like, how did we center on one thing? Not that the I Have a Dream speech was not magnificent; it absolutely was. It was also a communal effort, right? That were led by many people, and the I Have a Dream speech was one piece of that really multitasking event that happened, on the mall. But him not getting the recognition for being a global leader, him not getting the recognition for, his conversations around reparations, for his conversations around looting and rioting, for him not getting the recognition for his conversations around labor. And that was the field he was in. When he was in Chicago, he was talking about labor and he was talking about pay wages. And that was the thing that he had moved so greatly into, which was going to, of course, be affecting everything on a global stage, because he was critiquing our, America's role in capitalism, just like he was, critiquing America's role in the Vietnam War. And so all of those things, we never talk about. The king of reparations. One of my good mentors, friends, and former professor, he had a panel discussion last year that was talking about King the Radical, how radicalized he was, that people just completely forget. And they always pit Malcolm and Martin, but they were not so different in his latter years. He had come to believe a lot of what Malcolm X had believed around our, engagement with capitalism and labor and reparations, a word that we are scared to talk about.
Listen, there's a phenomenal book out there, and I believe the book is called Malcolm and Martin, or Martin and Malcolm, but it examines that very thing. And I've always been fascinated by that. It's one of those things that, they don't teach you in school, but if you read enough and you're interested enough, you can actually come across nuggets like that. Yeah. And people are oftentimes stunned to know the convergence of their lives, as you said, towards the end of their lives. They had, as history will record, at least 2 significant meetings that people have talked about. But, I believe that there were probably some other back channel kinds of things that were going on between them, and some opportunities that they might have had to come together on various things. But, King's trip to Chicago, where he saw racism, your own city, where he saw racism for what it was really representing, not just in the South, but in a place that people didn't anticipate it would be, in the North. And so those northern city racists who were profoundly vicious and hateful, he began thinking about this in a way that really, as you said, moved closer towards some of the things that Malcolm was pushing for. And we're not just talking about by any means necessary. We're talking about just the whole, or defense. We're talking about just the whole notion of, this whole notion of how much do we concede in our effort to move forward without pushing back, and maybe pushing back a little bit more, not beating people up and rioting and things like that, but just how much do we do that in that process? Fascinating legacy, fascinating history, and definitely worth studying more and more.
It definitely is. And just before we move on, I do want to say when King came here, there's a fascinating documentary that PBS WTTW put out a couple years ago. And it was about the Honorable Reverend James Cleveland, who was a mighty pastor, but also was a civil rights leader. And in that documentary, we find out that King actually, when he came to Chicago, not only did the racists come out, but unfortunately, the Black elite was not as welcoming to him. And there was a group of Black pastors that had asked him to leave and felt he was agitating a certain group of folks and wanted him to immediately turn around and get out of Chicago, did not want to put him up, did not want him to speak in their churches, and had protest him speaking here. And so the Reverend Clay Evans was one of the only ones that said, listen, this man is doing the work of God. He's in Chicago. We're going to support him. So not only do we have, opposition, from white counterparts, there's a group of Black folks, that we call skin folk that ain't kinfolk, that was literally trying to run Dr. King out of town.
Yeah, it's easy to embrace him now and talk about how down we are with Dr. King's philosophy and his I Have a Dream speech.
Right.
But truth be told, at that time, it was not as cozy for many people, for him especially, but for many people who supported the movement when they had so much resistance from within the Black community. And so that's a great observation that you made and something that we need to be mindful of. Speaking of being mindful, I couldn't let this conversation get by without talking about those classified documents that have been popping up in Uncle Joe's possession. I editorialized last week, and I probably, shut my guys down a little bit because I probably talked as much as they did. I'm going to stop talking and just say, what are your thoughts about this debacle, this foolishness, this mess, this unbelievable thing that's happening right now with these documents?
This is insane, actually. And we're like in a twilight zone that we can't get out of. And I'm like, is it 2020 again? What is happening? Like, this is not cool. I thought we came out of this, right? Barely, but I thought we came out. This is so unfortunate, and unfortunate at this particular time. Because now all of the work that the January 6th committee did and the report is being overshadowed by this. I also think that it's, I know we're in a polarizing world where if you do the one side, now you have to do the other. I actually don't. I think there's a conflation of what is happening, and it's going to be the downfall of the Democrats. I don't think it's good that these documents are there. Of course, it's not good for the new Congress, who has already opened 3, 4, maybe 10 by when it's said and done investigations. But it's also not good for people who are on this Hunter Biden bit, right? That plays into a whole nother thing. But it's the fact that, okay, now you have Adam Schiff out there talking about we need an open investigation on a couple of documents that is on par with what Trump did. And I'm like, are you serious? This is not good. This is not good, but this is not the same thing. So when you conflate the two, you have our already polarized society saying, see, they did it too. And, this type of justice is what needs to come down. And it's just bad overall. And I don't think it's going to get any better.
They may be, you hit the nail on the head about the conflation. They may be two separate things in terms of the people that want to jump up and say Trump resisted turning him over, Biden willingly turned him over. It doesn't matter politically. It's the same thing. And that's what people see, and that's what people think. Because of that polarization that you talked about, the tribalism that's a part of our society today. No, it's tit for tat. And what's good for one is good for the other. And if you came at Trump this way, then we need to come at you this way. And I'm going to, listen, what can I say to defend against that? What an unforced error. What a boneheaded blunder that was. Absolutely ridiculous. And I'm going to tell you, if additional documents reveal themselves.
Right. That's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, now we have these documents. Okay, this is not a lot. This is not 600 pages of boxes stuffed some way with people coming in and out to get into the Southern White House. This is not that, right? But we already are at like 15.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, hopefully nothing else comes out. But again, like I said, for the people who are on this Hunter Biden thing, where, he was selling secrets and selling his vice president, selling Vice President Joe information and access, this is not good. This is not good.
Yeah. And, the things that I've said, things that I've heard, I heard Biden say this. I heard him say two really dumb things. I heard him say more dumb things, but I'm only going to point out two.
Right.
This whole notion about, for goodness sakes, these documents were found in my garage where I parked my Corvette. It wasn't like it was sitting on the side of the street somewhere. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then the other thing that he said was, God willing, I'm going to have a chance to respond to this situation. And my thing to Joe right now is I hope his attorneys are talking to him about this too. I heard some political talking heads on the news this morning talking about this. Stop talking, Joe. Just stop talking. What you should be advised right now is say nothing else about the matter because you said enough as it is.
Right. Just like get a lawyer. Get a lawyer and just do the work of the president and let your lawyer speak.
Yeah.
And let your lawyer speak. Yeah.
That's right. So, I mentioned the undermining of you mentioned the undermining of the January 6th committee, which I think is very significant in this process. And the fact that their findings and their recommendations now are just being overwhelmed by a situation that is now going to be driven by a Republican Congress. And even with the slim majority that there is, what's going to happen at some point, and you're already seeing some of this, a tipping point of Democrats who are also going to start saying, you know what, you're absolutely right. Because Democrats always tend to, they don't coalesce like the GOP does. They don't come around, one another. They kind of, they splinter off and they start saying what should be said, but it's going to hurt the president in the long run. We got a long ways to go on this thing, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to keep my eyes open. Let me talk about a happier note. I am absolutely excited. I may not be dressed like it, and if you don't know me and haven't seen my iPod, you may not believe this. But hip hop turns 50 years old this year, and I'm pretty gassed about that. I am excited. And because I got a little age behind me, I can literally say two things about hip hop. I was in New York City, the birthplace of hip hop, when hip hop was being born. Wow. And watching that whole process was just so fascinating. What people said back in, need I say, 73, 74, 75, what people said back then about this being a fad and this isn't going to last and this is a bunch of young people hanging out in a corner on the streets. This is street music. This is urban beat. That's what this is. That's what it's going to be. Pretty soon it's going to be in the history books. History over the 50 years that hip-hop has been in effect has proven something different. I wonder what your thoughts are about this 50th anniversary of hip-hop and its pervasive impact on our society.
I too am very excited. I am a hip hop head. I have been for quite some time, ever since one of my older sisters played It Takes Two to Make a Thing Go Right when I was like 7 or 8 years old. And I was like, who is that? And then I heard Queen Latifah's Ladies First. And I was like in love. I think it is such a beautiful thing and a testament to the work of the pioneers and the folks who came out, long before. I also, right now it is the number one genre. It is global in every sector of society. It is the dominant music culture, and that is saying something. The longevity of it, but also its ability to, be global. I don't know if they were thinking that in the 70s and 80s that we're going to take this worldwide, but it literally is worldwide. When I open my Apple Music and I see the top 10 songs in the States and globally, it's usually 7 out of 10 are hip hop. And so I just think it's such a beautiful feat, and to have New York on the map, and then the way that every other city, has allowed hip hop to kind of come in and be part of the culture, the community. It's so entrenched in our community in a beautiful way. It's got some critiques from me. Current day hip hop. and hip hop of the last 20, 30 years. But I just think it's phenomenal. It's a beautiful thing to our culture. And may the pioneers and legends of hip hop always be honored for their contributions.
And you know, what I always like to share with people when I get a chance to, when they don't really understand it, kind of confine hip hop to the music. You know, hip hop is more than the music. You can't watch an NBA basketball game anymore without thinking about hip hop because of the influence, whether from the players, whether it's from the dress, whether it's from the commercials. The commercials, you know, just are effusive with hip hop. It's everywhere you look, whether it's the music, the style, the production. You know, there's always this flavor involved with what's going on, and hip hop is a mindset. It's a way of life. It is just so deeply entrenched in our society. And I am also impressed, as we've had this conversation on this broadcast before, about the many universities that are embracing hip hop themes in their curriculum to be able to really understand this dynamic in our society today.
Yeah, no, it's such a beautiful thing. I think back to the 90s too, to all of our TV shows, right? You always saw some hip hop artist kind of like coming in as a special guest, or the language of our culture and our community kind of being up front and center on a Martin, or being up front and center. I mean, we had Queen Latifah on Living Single, and like she was literally all of hip hop representing. And so as you say, it's everywhere. It's entrenched in everything. I heard somebody describe it. I was watching a documentary a couple of years ago, and I don't know if it was LL who said it's poetry put to a beat. And, you know, it's literally Black people's words, everything we always wanted to say, everything we didn't know we could say, you know, put to a beat in a rhyming scheme, which music for Black folks is such a thing, a rhythmic, you know, like the rhythms and the drums and the percussions and the tambourines, all of that is part of our legacy and part of our history. So for them to be able to do that and constantly bring it in new ways, as you say, commercials and sports and also TV, like I said, TV was one of the gateways for me. I remember Snoop kind of coming on Martin and being a guest. And every time you would see, or Biggie, every time you would see a hip hop artist, you'd be so excited, you know, that the culture merged in that way. And so it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's definitely mainstream now. There's no question about it. It's Madison Avenue. It's Hollywood. I mean, it's everywhere you look out there. It's worldwide. I mean, there are hip hop experiences everywhere you go in the world today, and it is absolutely pervasive. I'm gonna tie a couple of things together. You mentioned LL, and we were talking about King earlier. I was in Atlanta many, many years ago, watching, or rather visiting the King Memorial, where his body lays, and some friends of mine and I looked up and we saw somebody a little bit off the way, and I said distinctly, I remember saying, "Who's that LL Cool J looking dude over there?" Turned out to be LL. It was LL visiting the King Center, and I just happened to be in Atlanta at that moment, and I took a picture of it too. I got the picture today. It's kind of funny that you mentioned that. But way back when, this was probably mid '80s when this was happening, or late '80s, and he was still a very young guy at the time. It just kind of come out, but you know, we were just there. I mean, you know, we had a right to be there. He had a right to be there. But I was like, "Who's that LL Cool J looking dude over there?" And my boy looked at me and said, "Wait a minute, that is LL."
Right. That's cool. That probably was the Mama Said Knock You Out days.
It was. It absolutely was. Well, look, Aprecia, always fascinating talking to you. I could have a whole hour segment with you, maybe 2 hours even. Maybe we'll do that one day where we just talk and never stop, at least for 2 hours. But tell people how they can connect with you and all the great work that you're doing.
Sure. So for GSA, for the organization, that's GSA Chicago. I am on Twitter. You can find me at ADFaulkner1 and all your social media sites. And like I said, if you're looking for more about Black diplomacy and what I do globally, gsachicago.org.
All right. Rocking and rolling with the hip hop in Chicago. She is Aprecia Faulkner, founder of Global Strategists Association. Listen, if you don't know about this organization, you need to find out about it. If you don't know about Aprecia, you need to definitely check her out and find out about all the work she's doing. You can just pick her brain sometimes, and you walk away a lot smarter, I tell you. And she didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night either. It's just who she is, because she is invested in education and learning and inspiring other people. Aprecia, thank you for always being such a great guest on the broadcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Aprecia Faulkner joins us from Chicago periodically. And I say every quarter, but we bring her on every now and then because we can't wait 3 and 4 months before we hear from her. She's got too much going on and too much insight about what's happening in the world today to eliminate her voice from the dialogue that we like to have on a regular basis regarding so many different things. And so she comes on and joins us for a segment that we call Reimagining Our World with Aprecia Faulkner, and I'm delighted to have had her with us on this afternoon. I'm going to come back in just a moment with a little bit more stuff. I'll do that in just a moment. I'm Kenny Anderson at Second Chance. I hope that you're having an absolutely fantastic day.
I'm a doctor.
I'm a teacher.
I live in the South.
California is my home.
I speak fluent Spanish.
No hablo español.
I have brown eyes.
My eyes are blue.
We're very different people, but we do have something in common. I made a donation to the Red Cross.
When disaster struck and I needed help, her gift to the American Red Cross changed my life.
When you support the American Red Cross, you change a life, starting with your own.
Call 1-800-RED-CROSS or visit redcross.org and find out about life-changing opportunities in your area.
Save a place for me. Save a space for me. In your heart.
Every year, the United Negro College Fund helps thousands of students go to college. But for everyone we help, there's one we can't, not without the funds.
Save a place for me.
Please support the United Negro College Fund. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Call 1-800-332-UNCF.
A message from the Ad Council.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. A great way to kick off our Sunday afternoon conversation. Aprecia Faulkner joining us from Chicago, Illinois. She's the founder of Global Strategists Association, and she joins me periodically for a segment that we call Reimagining Our World with Aprecia Faulkner, sharing perspectives and insights on a variety of things that are happening both nationally as well as around the world. I am getting some blowback, and I'm going to have to take somebody out of the feed for just a moment because there's some blowback there, and that's going to be airing over the system. But I do see Dr. Patricia Sims, the president of Drake State Community and Technical College. I'll try to bring Dr. Kingsbury in just a moment if I can get that technical, or she can get that technical thing figured out. Dr. Sims, how are you doing this afternoon? Happy New Year to you. Dr. Sims, are you on mute? Are you on mute? I think you might be on mute.
Let's try again. Okay, so Happy New Year, Kenny. How is 2023 treating you so far?
Well, so far so good. I'm just kind of taking it one day at a time, but I think that's a good speed to be at. That's my investment. I don't say resolutions much anymore, but that's my investment in 2023, to just take one day at a time, embrace the moment, be mindful at every step of the way, and try to enjoy the privilege of this gift called life.
I agree. I love that approach, and we're early into 2023, so that's good. That's right. We're going to ease into this. It's great to be here with you again.
It's been a while. I know that we've been trying to make this happen, and some of our scheduling changes took place during the holidays, so we moved some things around. But I knew as we started the new year with a brand new school year, we were going to absolutely have to talk to you and our friends at Drake.
Absolutely. Well, we, again, are delighted to be here, and It's a great time because there are some exciting things to share. And so I can't wait for us to have this conversation.
All right, well, let's go for it. Let's see if Dr. Marina Kingsbury, yes, that's so much better. Whatever was going on before is no longer happening. So she's back. She's been with us once before, so she's now a veteran of the Second Chance radio broadcast. Dr. Marina Kingsbury is the Director of Grants and Sponsored Programs. Welcome to the broadcast.
Hello, Kenny. I'm so happy to be back.
It's good to have you. And then I want to make sure I pronounce your name correctly. Is it Sharday Tate?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Sharday Tate with the Frontiers Program intern. And we want to hear all about the work that you're doing because it sounds like some pretty fascinating and exciting stuff. Our focus today is on STEM opportunities in STEM career exploration, something we've talked about before, but something that we really celebrate in the space of higher education because of the opportunities that are afforded students as a consequence of this. Dr. Sims, I'm going to let you start, first of all, as the commander of the ship over at Drake. You're directing the course of education. You're laying the vision in so many ways as the president. You're collaborating, you're connecting, you're networking. You're creating opportunities in vibrant spaces for not just faculty to thrive, but also be able to transfer all of that great learning onto students. Talk to me a little bit about how you view the relevance and the value of STEM at this time.
Well, you know, Kenny, that's a great segue opening for our session today, because one of the things that in creating the vision and trying to plot the path for the college is we have to be sensitive to the needs of the industry and what's happening around us. And as we continue to grow in this city, the need for STEM majors, skilled labor and talent in the STEM areas has never been greater, and the demand is not decreasing, that there is an upward trend. Even now, even when we look across the skilled labor sector, we talk about the expansion of the EV infrastructure and where we're going in the automobile industry. The need has never been greater. And so one of the things that we're really excited about on our campus is that we've been able to position the campus so that they can to provide opportunities for our communities, for students to start early in high school exploring STEM opportunities. And I'm delighted that Sharday can be with us here today, because sometimes people get tired of hearing me say what great opportunities exist. So I thought I'd bring someone who's living the opportunity to share with us, and that's Ms. Sharday Tate, to talk with us and share with us a little bit about the work that we're doing in the aerospace industry as we partner with NASA. And Dr. Kingsbury leads that work on the campus. And so I'm so delighted. I'm really just here to let them share some of the great opportunities that we have available here at Drake State and that are available all across our communities for those individuals who may not know for certain or may not think that a STEM career is in their future, but career exploration opportunities are what makes the difference. It can be a game changer in its space. And so I'm excited about our conversation today.
Dr. Sims, we never get tired of hearing you say whatever you want to say. You have permission to do that. We empower you to do that anytime you want. So, but because of how you think, your vision is expansive and you are inclusive in that way. And I so appreciate that, because in thinking strategically about how to communicate this information, we do need to have diverse voices in that arena, and you've set that up so nicely. I'm going to come back to Dr. Kingsbury because I really am excited to hear about what Sharday has to say. Can you tell me a little bit about your relationship to this conversation as we talk about STEM and some of the opportunities that Dr. Sims referenced, and what you specifically are doing? I've got you listed here as a Frontiers Program intern, so maybe you can tell me a little bit about what that means, or tell our audience a little bit about what that means.
Okay, what that means for me, I'm actually out of the electrical technology department, and I intern from that department, and what I do is I'm in robotics. So what our focus is my actual department is doing everything from wiring residential, industrial wiring, robotics, PLC programming, things that you would do in production or manufacturing plants. And actually also we work in aerospace as well. So to be directly in the frontiers and actually go directly into the aerospace and be working with big names like NASA and Jacobs is amazing. It's such a great opportunity because I'm doing applications that I necessarily didn't see in the beginning when I first enrolled here. I didn't know these opportunities were available.
So what attracted you to this particular career path?
Robotics. We had a class, I already do coding, and so I saw that coding with computer goes hand in hand with what the actions of a robot does. And typically with our school, we do a lot of pick and place like type of application. So it's just picking something up like a windshield or something, placing it onto the car, or we do welding cells where we program the robot to do welding. And this one was special because this is something that hasn't been done before.
Yeah, well,
so
it always looks fascinating to me whenever I see somebody, and I say playing around with robots. I know it's serious business, but it just looks like the kind of career that's so much fun and so many different kinds of opportunities and directions that you can take it in. And when you walk into a classroom of sixth graders and seeing them coding, and you think about their potential for the future, it literally blows your mind, as I had the chance to do just a few years ago. And to hear these young children talk about their future at the stage of life that they were in, it made me also think about the future of our nation and the future of the world. We're in a global economy where we're all connected in so many ways, where we share ideas and we support one another in business and industry and so much more. And of course, the workspace is a significant part of that, Dr. Kingsbury. When we talk about creating these kinds of opportunities for people, and of course you're serving as a director of grants and sponsored programs, which means that you have a direct hand in not just attracting funds to these programs, but also identifying and strategically and intentionally placing certain operations in the space that takes place of academic learning at Drake State Community and Technical College. Talk to me a little bit about that aspect of the work that you're doing and how that has an impact on the big picture of what Drake does.
Thank you, Kenny. This is an excellent question. So Sade mentioned that she is an intern on the Frontiers Research Program. This program continues growing with support of cooperative agreements and grants that we receive from NASA. And the importance of these programs and grants for the college go well beyond just the funding, because through these cooperative agreements, we're able to work and pair our students and our faculty with NASA researchers and let our interns and our faculty solve problems that feed directly into NASA. Our programs all feed into the NASA Artemis projects. So we are doing not something that's theoretical or something that comes out of a dusty textbook. Our students are involved in working with technology and tasks that actually contribute to the future. The Frontiers Research Program works on conceptualization of a 3D printing of concrete structures such as habitats for the moon, landing pads for the moon. What Sade is talking about, she's programming the robotic arm that prints that structure. And she works on programming another robot that prints components for the inside of a structure to make it livable. We work directly with NASA researchers, and what we do not only trains our students, but also makes them excited about being in the space of aerospace. Everybody in North Alabama is interested in growing our workforce. And we as parents here and as community members want to see our children and our community members find meaningful employment over here in North Alabama. We don't need to be sending our children elsewhere. And so these grants and these cooperative agreements allow us to be at the forefront of training, educating, and allowing our children to be a part of the future, not being somewhere out in, an assembly line where nobody knows what they're doing. We are working with NASA, and it's just so exciting. Sade here is an example of how exciting this work may be. Yes, she's learning the basics of the trade, but she's taking it so much further, and that's what's exciting. And she's a fantastic individual, and we are hoping to pair her with an underclassman to have her lead another student in collaboration with our instructors. So she's able to actually lead a cohort of younger students, and that's what we do here with the use of these grants.
Dr. Sims, I had the extraordinary privilege of going down to the Cape for the first attempt to send Artemis up, which of course did not succeed, and I had to come back home very disappointed. And of course, Artemis finally got up in November. Successful mission, a lot of excitement around that, the idea of returning men and women to the moon. Very, very exciting project. And you think about NASA being here in our own backyard. You think about an HBCU like Drake State Community Technical College being right here in our backyard. And you think about the opportunities for both minority students and women to benefit from this kind of experience. That's got to be a great source of pride for you. And I just wish you would just talk about this whole initiative, this broader initiative in the context of the HBCU conversation and its significance to this thing. You might be on mute, Dr. Sims. We're not hearing you, Dr. Sims.
I'm sorry. My apologies. I did a whole spiel and on mute. But this is really exciting, Kenny, because Sharday is a shining example of where this can lead. But the beauty of this is that in addition to Drake State remaining the only historically Black community college to be in this space doing this work, we've also have an additional grant to start exposing younger students to this work, to these opportunities earlier, because those dollars are focused on, our MIRAP grant is focused on building the pipeline for STEM careers. And that's a lot of the work that Dr. Kingsbury leads and that we want to highlight. Sharday is a shining example of what we can do, the type of skilled individuals that our work can produce. And we've earned the confidence of NASA to build this pipeline. So we're really excited. And we want the community to know that we have these opportunities available on our campus to expose younger people, to put them on the pathway to these exciting careers. And so many times we're always amazed around the fact that many students will arrive on the campus not certain or not thinking that they are interested in a STEM career or that they have that skill set. And with our excellent faculty and the investment with our MIRAP dollars and NASA, that we're able to invest in these students and train that talent. Our goal is to not leave any talent on the table. We need all of our students engaged and working. And again, we're so excited to be able to have an example, and a female no less, because many times STEM careers are associated with males, and women, especially women of color, we continue to be underrepresented in those fields. And so I'm just really excited to be a part of the solution, Kenny.
Yeah.
Be a part of the solution. That's what's exciting.
Yeah, I love that. I love all of that. And I love all of what your conversation today represents, your meeting everyone on this call. Sharday, I want to ask you, as we perhaps have another 6 minutes or so left in the conversation, I want to ask you, as we talk about something that Dr. Sims just pointed out, focusing on younger children and youth to be able to help prepare them for this process, what are a couple of things that you would say to young people so that they can be academically prepared for this stage of their process going into this career force?
I would say if the school offers a boot camp of any type, or whether that be going to another school to do robotics or any type of Arduino-based type things, I say go for it, especially if it's free. Always go for it. It doesn't matter what kind of grades that you're making or whatever that is. Whatever sparks your interest, you're going to go after it. So I think that it's important for children to really be interested in those boot camps instead of just letting them pass by.
And there are a significant number, I would say, that take place in this area every year, whether they're hosted on academic colleges and campuses, whether they are sponsored by some nonprofit agencies in town that I know that partner to do boot camps, and not just during the summer, but particularly during the summer, acts kind of like a bridge for a lot of students between one year and the next. These are great ways, as I said, what can we tell children and youth? What can we tell parents? Parents need to know about these opportunities, and so hopefully they'll pay attention to what we're saying, and hopefully that they will pique their interest in finding out how they can go about getting these opportunities taken care of. Of course, as the Director of Grants and Sponsored Programs, Dr. Kingsbury, you're always interested in talking to people who are interested in investing in these kinds of things. I know you're not the development director, but clearly you're talking about grants and other sponsored programs. There may be people out there listening this afternoon that have a small business or a larger business that say, we want to figure out how to work alongside these kinds of innovative and creative initiatives. Are you the person they would talk to, or are there some things or some elements of what we're talking about that you would have something to offer?
Absolutely, Kenny. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to provide some direction in this area. We allow several opportunities for us small businesses to partner with us, whether it is through partnering on research projects, through either pursuing government contracts, or partnering on using our facilities to prototype, manufacture, test different samples that businesses are working on. Remember, we've got state-of-the-art laboratories and facilities here that allow for us to 3D print and manufacture, weld, wire a wide range of samples that are involved in research. And this allows for opportunities for our students to get involved in hands-on project, which, as Sharday mentions, is the gateway into meaningful careers and looks great on resumes. We also always partner and look for not only research projects, but partner on different internship opportunities. If you're looking to train or retrain your workforce, if you are looking to for your workforce to acquire particular skills, come and talk to us, talk to me, and then we will work out a particular program of cooperation. Or if you're interested in making a donation that will support an intern or an emerging faculty member that we grow from the ranks of our students, and we help them stay here and obtain the necessary skill that they will continue, stay on and lead the future students. There are many opportunities, so come and talk to us.
Yeah, and if people want to talk to you, how would they do that?
So my direct phone number is 256-551-7285, or you can reach me at marina.kingsbury@drakestate.edu.
All right. I always say when people give the direct line, that means they really want to talk to you. They really want to hear from you. And so hopefully people will reach out this afternoon. We'll go ahead and put that in the comment section so that people will follow through in that way too. Dr. Sims, thank you for always providing us with some really meaningful content and some great discussions, and also supporting us with some great guests who come on the broadcast. We, of course, will look forward to continuing to partner with you on this segment that we call Perspectives in Education, featuring Drake State Community and Technical College, one of the jewels of our community. And, of course, we appreciate you for your leadership and all the great things that you're doing to, as I said earlier, command this ship.
Well, Kenny, thank you for having me. And I want to remind our listeners again to keep an eye out on social media and on the website, because we have some really good opportunities that we're sharing across the community that are open to, again, put students on the pathway to a career in STEM. That is the opportunity. That's where the opportunities of the future lie. And so parents and listeners, please be on the lookout. Keep an eye on the social media. Visit our website, drakestate.edu. And thank you again, Kenny, for allowing us the opportunity to share.
Yeah,
it's always great to talk with you.
Likewise. And we'll probably end up seeing each other a little bit more in 23, since we're starting to come out a little bit more and share and occupy some of the same spaces and some of the same events and things of that nature. So I look forward to that as well, and also our next conversation. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, fantastic. The segment is called Perspectives in Education, featuring our friends from Drake State Community and Technical College, led by none other than El Presidente, Dr. Patricia Sims, one of my favorite people in the whole wide world because Dr. Sims rarely misses an opportunity to come on this broadcast. I mean, she could easily delegate that assignment to somebody else, but she deems it critical and essential to be here each and every time. And I so appreciate her for that. And I appreciate her bringing on today Dr. Marina Kingsbury, the Director of Grants and Sponsored Programs, as well as Sade Tate with the Frontiers Program, an intern in that program. Exciting stuff going on at Drake State Technical College, Community and Technical College, and you should know more about that. I'm going to come back in just a moment and have another conversation. This is just a day of conversations, folks, and we're going to keep the conversations flowing here in just a few minutes with my next round of guests who are getting ready right now. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance, and I hope that you're having an amazing and fantastic day. Just as I am without one plea, but that thy blood was shed for me, and that thou bidst me come to thee. O Lamb of God, I
Why do we say praise 90.1 FM? Because the blessing is in the praise. Filling your day with songs of praise on Praise 90.1 FM.
Neither WJOU or its licensee Oakwood University necessarily share all the views expressed in its programs. They are, however, presented as public information.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I hope that you're enjoying our conversations this afternoon. Most recently, Dr. Patricia Sims, Dr. Marina Kingsbury, and Sade Tate joining us this afternoon for Perspectives in Education, talking about some really cool stuff that's going on at Drake State Community and Technical College these days. So I'm hopeful that you took some good notes down, and we'll definitely post some more information up. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's always delighted to be here with you. I hope that you're taking full advantage of our live stream this afternoon at Praise 90.1 FM. And that's on Facebook, and also our live stream on YouTube, which is at Praise 90.1 FM. And if you're listening this afternoon at WJOU.org, which means that you're somewhere in the world listening on the net, or maybe one of those local folks that are listening at 90.1 FM, we welcome each and every one of you to the broadcast today. I'm always delighted to be with you, reminding you that every single show this year being dedicated to the memory of my beautiful mother-in-law, Mother Ernestine Fletcher Tibbs. We, of course, have a great opportunity to talk to a trio of ladies whenever they have time for me, of course, because they're always moving around the world. I see Tiffany on TV all the time, and Denise is out there event planning, and Felicia's not even living in the United States anymore. So they're just all over the place, literally. But every now and then they will humor me with an appearance on this broadcast, and I'm always grateful to them for the opportunity. Tiffany Whitlow, what's going on?
All of the things, Kenny, all of the things. Ready for the baby to get here.
Hold on. We're going to talk about the baby in a minute. You know, everybody doesn't know the baby's on the way, so we got to kind of, ease you into that conversation.
I wasn't eased into the reality.
That's what we want to hear about.
Business is great. Business is scaling. And just blessed to be a blessing. Life is so great.
Well, it's great to see you, and Happy New Year, of course, because I haven't seen you in weeks now. So, the new year came in. I haven't had a chance to talk to you, but good to have you on this afternoon.
Thank you. So good to see you and the ladies.
Absolutely. Dynisia Tibbs is joining us this afternoon. Of course, she pops in from time to time. As I said, she keeps one of the most intense and busiest schedules that I know. So anytime she gets a chance to slow down, she's a family person, too. I mean, the daughters are all over social media, and she's supporting them in their academic journeys and very proudly celebrating their success. I don't say something all the time. I may say like or love and keep it moving. But I'm watching. I know what's going on, and you're doing a great job in that space. Dynisia, welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you, Kenny. Happy New Year, ladies. It's good to see everybody again. I'm excited to talk with you all today.
Absolutely. Good to have you. And, of course, Felicia, I think she's somewhere other than the United States today.
I am. I'm in Ecuador.
How are you doing this afternoon? And Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Wait. I haven't seen you since last year. I've been waiting to say that to you for a minute. Happy New Year, Kenny. I got stuff I want to share when you're ready for me, so I'm not going to hold you up.
Yeah, we'll pull that in just a minute. I'm going to bounce back over to Tiffany, though, for a minute, because, as I said, I got to, Tiffany makes appearances every now and then, but I know where I can always find her, and that's on television, because she's on Love and Marriage Huntsville, a show that a lot of people may know about. And if you don't know about it, you better check it out, because they've got a really dynamic experience happening over there in the OWN network. I think you guys just finished season 5. And, of course, you had a 3-part reunion show. Should have been 5 parts, because you guys should have been 5 parts. Maybe there's a backstory to that look you just gave us, but
yeah. And now, of course, it's also on the Warner. Now it's a part of the Warner Brothers Discovery family, and so it's even bigger. So it's really exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you about that, because you've been on the show. You and Lou have been on the show now for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you finished your second year. Clearly, I'm sure. I don't know if it's been talked or announced yet. I'm sure there's going to be another iteration of the show, because you guys are just too popular, and the show's just getting such huge numbers, as Carlos likes to remind us. Which is great, by the way. You did just say the baby is doing fine and all of that. We know that was part of the storyline over the last couple of years, and now there's a pregnancy. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I had my IUD taken out last June, and within 7 days, I got pregnant. Yes, that was my face, because God says, test me, and here it is. And the doctor prepared us for 12 months, like a long journey. He said, moms come in here, they're really depressed. They can't get pregnant after 6 months. Like, you need to give yourself time. So when it did happen in 7 days, I really, truly was not mentally prepared for this reality. We are beyond excited. Lewis is literally at home right now in the nursery. He designed his accent wall. He's a Kappa, so it has all his little representations on it. And big brothers are excited. So, there's a huge age difference. I gave birth to David, and he's 15. And then my stepson is 16. So here we are starting all over again because my kids are so perfect. I needed to not have a quiet house.
Well, apart from what, a lot of people know people as, which when I say the storyline, a lot of people will compartmentalize people to the storyline. They'll think that that's all that their life is. And I know that's one of the themes you all the cast members consistently share. We're more than just what you see on TV. And I think that's an important part that people need to remind themselves about, that you've even talked before about the intensity of the commenting on social media. And yeah, you've put yourself in a position, but people can be really cruel and people can be really mean because they're following the storyline and they think that that's the only way to interpret your life. And that, of course, is a very interesting dynamic of being on a reality show.
Yeah, I mean, they just found out, and I'm in the 3rd trimester. So, yeah, the baby's due in March. Yeah. So, very, very soon.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're going to know about it, and we're going to, of course, experience the joy and all of the other wonderful things that come as a consequence of this. I'm so happy for you and Lou. Now, you have a name for the baby?
His name is Ace. We are contemplating about his middle name. Okay. Because if he's born on the 24th, I'm going to have a C-section. So if he's born on the 24th of March, that's our day of choice. That's my grandfather's birthday, and that's Lewis's grandmother's birthday. If he's not born on that day, then I feel like I want to add my grandparents in his name in some capacity, and I'm very stuck because the only other middle name that I like is Alexander. And that has nothing to do with our family at all.
Yeah. Well, none of this Kenneth, so feel free to throw that in the basket too. If you
Okay. Got it. That's actually a really strong name.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. Absolutely. Felicia, you've got, of course, always one of the most fascinating lives that I know. And in addition to Heidi Day, Heidi Jessup, do you know Heidi?
I do not.
Heidi was a student of mine at Oakwood. Heidi just recently moved to South America.
Costa Rica.
Yeah. Just moved to Costa Rica. And, not that people don't move places, but, Heidi and her family are well entrenched in Atlanta. I mean, been in Atlanta forever. When she was my student at Oakwood so many years ago, beautiful mom, love her mom and everything. And then I look up, she posts, hey, something that I've been thinking about for the last 5 or 6 months, and I just did it. We moved to Costa Rica. And I was like, what? So I'm actually going to have Heidi on the show at some point and just talk about that whole decision-making process. And I know you've talked about the transition and those kinds of things. Really interested in catching up with you at this point to find out what's going on with you.
So much. Let me just say there can be a whole series about retiring to another country. Seriously. There are so many things that you don't think about as far as healthcare, how you're going to travel back and forth to see people. What if your money runs out? What if, there's just the cultural differences. I was all ho gun ho and everything, but the reality has set in. It's a year later. And I'm thinking, wow, I had no idea. Now, other people are following our suit as far as talking about what it takes to retire and what, things that you just do not think about at all. And how overwhelming it can be. It could also be very exciting. Some people retire with the idea that they're going to go back to work in a little while. Some people retire with the idea that they want to stay, just put a couple of hours per weekend, that kind of thing. Some people decide they want to travel, then health and wellness, kicks in and they can't go anywhere like they thought they were going to go. So I could, if you have her on, we could talk about that together. We can add some really depth into that conversation. So what I've been doing here, and I don't know if this is what I wanted to share with you, when we were getting off of the meeting the last time, I had said, oh, I want to learn how to blog. And Tiffany, right after the show, she reached out to me and she said, listen, my company can help you learn how to do that. And what happened is it inspired me, I could do this. Come on, girl, it can't be that hard. Well, my kids got involved and we figured out how to blog and we set up a website. And here, guess what we're doing? We're talking about what we haven't talked about on my website, and that is I was diagnosed with Parkinson's about 8 months ago, and I hadn't shared it at all, and I had to come to grips with it. And that's what I began to post on my website, and we're doing some blogs too, Tiffany. So thank you so much for that.
Congratulations!
Yeah, I know, you were so inspirational. It's just like, you got this. It's not that hard. And once we perfect it, we'll be coming back to you to see if we can offer anything to your program.
Yeah, listen, I think that's great. Anytime somebody realizes an aspect of their life dream or their life ambitions, or just they're at a transitional point where they feel like there's something that they could do to add value to their understanding of the process as well as other people's understanding, I think there's, something great to celebrate about that. And I just love that because, Felicia, you have been very transparent about the transition. And I know that's been helpful in one sense, but you're also confronting it at the same time. So you're trying to create some balance in that process, and that can't be easy. And I know when you reference the idea of blogging and sharing and sort of emoting in a way that could be beneficial for you as well as others, that sounded like an awesome idea. So
well, it's turned out to be very interesting because people have different thoughts and ideas of what you should present. One idea that came across I thought was absolutely fantastic was to open up a Gmail account called Foraging for Dope. And everybody who knows about Parkinson's knows that the dope means dopamine, and dopamine is what makes you happy. Dopamine is what helped Tiffany get pregnant. Right? That's right there. So I've opened up that website. I opened up a website that is called ditchingparkinsons.com, and I started telling my story on that. And then we opened up an email address for foragingfordope@gmail.com. And what I'm hoping is that people will send me things that will help my dopamine to increase so that it will help my brains and just work really hard. And what is that I need? Something funny, something beautiful, something with a wonderful ending, something that makes me laugh. Any type of jokes that are clean, not dirty.
Well, listen, thank you for that. I really appreciate you sharing that. And those that are listening this afternoon, it would be great to connect with Felicia and just be a part of her journey and her experience. We always reference iron sharpens iron in the context as we are around people who have certain strengths that we can actually align ourselves with. It can be very fundamental to our ability to move forward and to be able to have clarity in challenging times, all of which is very important and essential to our lives. And so we thank you for sharing that. Donicia, you always have a ton of stuff going on. I don't know if you got something special happening right now, but get us up to speed on what's going on in your world here in 2023. And I know the year is young, but I'm sure you got a big year ahead of you.
Wow. I don't know if I receive all that, Kenny. I've kind of slowed down a little. I had a lot of life changes in the last quarter of last year. And so I was really kind of leaning on my circle and my family a lot. The girls don't stop. So yes, you're going to see that constantly. And that schedule is like ongoing. It's nonstop. But in my personal life, yes, I have taken kind of a giant step back, honestly, and just kind of delved into some self-care. Losing my parent, losing my dad was a huge unexpected blow. And so mental health has been high on my priority list. Really just being there and leaning into my support. And I had amazing, I can't even tell you, crazy support. That was just beyond. And so just kind of trying to figure out the new norm around that. And then, of course, the girls are always, it's what I do. They give me life. And so being that there's is always there and always ongoing, I went into that head first as well. And yes, I am traveling the world behind my college senior and my college freshman and my high school sophomore. So that's just constant. And then here we are at the top of the year, everyone's freshly engaged, freshly pregnant. And so I'm getting all the news and all of the inquiries about the upcoming celebrations. So that's in high gear as well.
Yeah. I lost my mother-in-law second week of December. You, of course, lost your dad back in September. The holiday season is always a challenging time in itself because of all of the things that are going on in a person's life. But it's especially challenging when you're dealing with the loss of a loved one. And I want to ask this question in a way that I want to maybe open up some ideas in people's minds, because I try to live. One of the things I've learned in life is trying to live life with intention.
Sure.
And it has helped in one sense. It doesn't mean, push your emotions aside, don't feel what you feel. But I always ask myself, what can I learn from something? Because in that learning space is really where I find growth and comfort and the ability to move forward and take one step forward when I feel like I want to take two steps back as a consequence of what I felt. And I wonder what was the experience generally like for you this first holiday season without your dad?
Oh, wow. It's bittersweet because you find yourself wanting to celebrate that person, especially when they mean so much to you. You feel bad for feeling sad a little, and you almost feel a little angry because it's just like, I don't want this change. A lot of the support that came was even bittersweet. Like, oh God, I appreciate the love so much, but I wish it wasn't for this reason. And so it just brings a lot of thoughts, a lot of conflicting thoughts around. But thankfully, our family really leaned into one another. We really just made it a big point, intentional with spending time with one another, and then speaking about the person we miss and just trying to remember those good times. It really puts in perspective the last time you had with them too, because the Christmas before, of course, it was a regular Christmas and we didn't know it was actually the last Christmas.
Yeah.
It put a lot in perspective. I think it put all of us on a different course of how we're going to show up for each other and then show up in this year. I was really intentional about completing my first vision board and just kind of throwing everything I had at that. And so it gives you a new gusto for, new things and living life kind of more intentionally, but it is super bittersweet.
Yeah, absolutely. Still mindful. I know I'm especially mindful because of losses I've experienced in my life. But then, of course, my most recent one, I'm just mindful of people when they're going through this particular phase, because there's just so much, I think, that can be learned from the process. And when you talked about family leaning into one another, how critical and how valuable that is in times like these, just so important to have in that process. Tiffany, I wanted to ask you, and I don't know if you can answer this question for me, but I'm a fan of Love and Marriage Huntsville. I watch it. I DVR it most times and catch up with it when I can.
Me too.
Got two fans on the show right now. And so I wanted to ask you this because it was a curiosity, and I don't know if you can share this from a production standpoint, but are there scheduled days for production? I mean, how do the cameras just show up? I know that's not how it happens, so I don't want to sound ignorant, but how does that all come to play? Because they don't follow you 24/7. I mean, maybe they follow you 24/7 for a short period of time, but they don't follow you 24/7. Do you pitch storylines? Do they pitch storylines to you? Do you? I mean, how does that all work? Can you share some of that?
Yeah, 100%. When we signed up, I think I said this to you, Kenny. I thought that there would be like GoPros in my car, and like that old school. We used to watch reality TV. You got to see the person's live. That is not exactly how it is at all. There are storylines that are pitched, but they really do try to cover someone's reality. And so if I know you're going to do something on Thursday, okay, that's something that we want to cover. But there's also, there's usually two production teams like in the field working to support all of the cast members. And so there are a lot of things happening. So Denicia might have something going on and I have something going on at the same time. They might go cover her event. So it just depends on, and honestly, the fans and the comments drive a lot more than what they think they do. And so if they see people talking about something, going in about something, obviously they're going to want to cover it. So yeah, there's all. I mean, I got a text message today. Somebody said, "Can you want to go do this thing tomorrow?" So it just depends. For me, I'll say it's harder probably than for anyone else because I have a real job here with real employees and like a real company we're building. And so I'm not as available. I mean, you can tell that by like even story time, right? So I literally cannot come film with you all day long in the middle of my working day. I have a job that I have to show up for, and then, that second priority, which it is, of course, like a second job.
Yeah. And how is the business right now? And you guys are just, y'all are moving and shaking. So what's happening?
We finished our seed round. So we raised 3.5 million. We've scaled the team to almost 20 people. And we're here, we're in Birmingham and we're in DC. And one day Dell's in California, the next day he's in Texas, and then he's in Huntsville for an appearance. So, I mean, and Lord knows, like, love that man. Now he's having to make up because I can't just be on an airplane as much as I was. But baby Ace is ready to ride. Everyone keeps asking me, and I haven't let it slow me down. I'll go home with my swollen feet at night and put my feet up and complain to my husband. I don't need any special treatment.
Yeah. Is Lou still enjoying the ride with the show and everything?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, Lou, like, people come to me to tell me about my husband. Like, even today, somebody in Huntsville came to me to tell me how much they love Lou because he's just going to sit there. He's going to be a receiver of the message. And this woman felt like Lou was going to tell her, like, the perfect life advice that was going to change her life forever. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, listen, my regards to my man. And, of course, my continued best wishes and prayers to you and baby Ace.
Thank you.
We're all excited. I'm sure that will be a significant part of the storyline that comes up next season. I am already a fan of season 6. It hadn't happened yet, but I'm waiting for it.
It's coming soon.
Oh, I know it is. I'm excited and I'm ready for it. Dionysia, 2023, of course, is here. You slowed the pace down a little bit. Is there anything over the course of the next few months or over the course of the next year that you're kind of really excited about happening?
Oh, my gosh. As I stated, I have a senior, so she'll be walking in May. From Alabama A&M University. And then myself personally with business and everything, I have about 3 events booked so far. I have a couple of consultations this week. It seems like everyone got engaged this holiday season. Getting a head start on that because I usually get calls, when they try and then they get overwhelmed and they need someone. And so I'm glad that's off to a good start. I've definitely got my events coming back during Black History Month. I'm going to work on that. And then I'm looking to do some things maybe later in the year. I wanted to switch it up, so I won't speak on those yet, but they are on my vision board. And I'm excited to do a lot of collaborating this year. So look for that.
Are we going to see the little black dress show up this year?
That's what it's going to be around, and I'll leave it there.
All right. Well, when it comes together, we're going to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Felicia, 2023 is upon us. All of it is here. Of course, nobody knows what happens tomorrow, but your thoughts and ideas beyond maybe developing the webpage and more.
Well, I got involved in my community, as you know. I shared some of that before, but I got a little bit more involved when someone said, "What kind of sports did you do when you were our children's age?" And I was like, "I used to run, I used to play basketball. Can you teach basketball at our school for us, please?" I said, okay. And then I promptly found someone in the neighborhood who had an 18-3 record for his city, and he has now become the head coach, and I'm the assistant coach, and we're teaching basketball to the school.
Wow.
Corner. So some of the things that we did when we were working, we still do, because that's what we know. So I'm becoming involved in the community as much as I can. It's just, it's funny. People just take their past lives and bring them forward and help out in a different kind of way.
Well, listen, that's why this segment is called Women in Power, because you all are in so many interesting spaces, and they're not static spaces. They're dynamic. They're fluid. They're constantly evolving and ever changing. And so every time we have a chance to talk, I know that something new, fascinating, and exciting is going on. And that's exactly why I look forward to that. And of course, each of you have your own individual brand. So I'm just going to go around the horn real quick and ask you to let people know how they can connect with you in whatever way you choose for them to connect with you. It could be social media, it could be a web page, it could be an email. You decide. It's up to you, but I'll give you a chance to do that. Felicia, I'm going to start with you first.
You know already, I done pitched it a couple of times. foragingfordope@gmail.com. That's how you can reach me. And what I'm looking for is people who, number one, don't know how to get through something like what I'm going through as far as they're not sure what's happening with them and they know they need to do something, and I would be that person that would be person. Please listen to yourself, listen to your body, listen to your environment, and do something. Don't be afraid. So foraging for dope at gmail.com is kind of new, so I'm trying to get it under my thumb. And then ditchingparkinsons.com, that's the website.
All right, fantastic. Donicia.
So I have a virtual business card that has all of my contacts on it. So instead of saying all my handles, I'll just say use Donicia.com. And it has all of the links of how I can connect with you. And then also I sit on the board for a 501c3. It's called the Women Solution Project. It's based in DC, and I'll be doing some work with them this year. So you can also check out thewhip.org.
Look at that. She snuck that in just at the end of the show today. I see you. I see you, Donicia. I see you. Tiffany.
I'll say on our number one on our Now Included platform, I'll be sharing a lot about my journey as a mom, as a new mom. So that's just nowincluded.com. And then, of course, on all the social media platforms, just Tiffany Whitlow.
All right.
And Donicia, we need to connect on an event.
All right. Tiffany, Donicia, and Felicia, thank you so much, ladies, for joining us at the start of this brand new year. I look forward to having additional conversations. And, independently of this conversation, if you ever have stuff going on and you need the community to know about it, just let me know and we'll make sure that we create opportunities for you to do that.
Thank you.
Noted. Thanks, Kenny.
All right. Listen, ladies, enjoy the rest of the day and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
All right. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. That's the ladies of the Women Empower panel. I actually brought one person in sooner than I should, but since she's here, I'm going to let you know that Vicki Morris is coming up next. She's excited and ready. We want to thank Tiffany Whitlow, Donicia Tibbs, and Felicia Beaulieu for joining the conversation on this afternoon. And, of course, the ladies of the Women Empower panel always bring some great information to share with us, and we're always appreciative of the opportunity to be able to talk to them. We're going to come back in just a moment, as I said, with Vicki Morris to close things out for today. You guys hang on for just a few moments.
Let the words of my mouth bring you praise. Let the words that I speak be seasoned with your love and grace. May the things, oh Lord, that I choose to say bring glory, not shame, to your name each day. Let the words of my mouth bring you
When is the best time to talk to your family about staying in touch during a disaster? When floodwaters reach your door? When wildfires are engulfing the edge of your neighborhood? Or an earthquake is destroying buildings? Or is the best time perhaps today? During a disaster, you may not be able to stay in touch with your family or friends as easily as you think. Go to ema.alabama.gov and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by the Alabama Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and the Ad Council.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Once again, I want to thank my guests, Tiffany Whitlow, Dionysia Tibbs, and Felicia Beaulieu, for a great conversation on my Women in Power segment. Known to join me quarterly for a roundtable discussion on a variety of different things. We're always appreciative of what the ladies have to share. And of course, as I said, the ladies always have something valuable and interesting and informative to share, as does my next guest. She's Vicki Moore. She's the owner of Face to Face Marketing, and she does so many more things in our community. Vicki, welcome back to the Second Chance radio broadcast under the heading BYOB, Be Your Own Boss.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to start another year and have great discussions about BYOB. So this is always an exciting opportunity for me.
All right. Well, listen, let's jump right into the conversation. You proposed, I thought was a pretty interesting conversation. And I thought about it in the context of what people oftentimes think about in the workplace and business and industry and manufacturing. We hear this word total quality improvement. And the whole notion behind total quality improvement is that wherever we are today in terms of our success, and cannot be measured against where we were yesterday. In other words, if we're sitting around celebrating the success of yesterday, accolades, victories, production rates, and all kinds of wonderful things, we may be missing an opportunity to grow and improve based on so many things that are right around us in the moment. So let's talk a little bit about that notion of continuing to improve within the context of our industry and our selected professions.
Yeah. So that's I do speaking engagements at different organizations, doing seminars, and people ask me, well, how did you figure that out? How did you know? It's like, well, I research and prepare, and I read and I study my craft, my industry, before I talk to anybody about anything, because I want to make sure that I'm caught up on the cutting edge topics, and if there's new ways of doing things, better, faster, smarter ways of doing marketing. And the only way you're going to find that out is if you're reading, you're researching, you're learning. And it doesn't always have to be going back to college. You know, for me, getting an MBA doesn't make much sense for me because I'm not going to get that much value out of it for what I do. But going to Leadership Greater Huntsville or Momentum, or, you know, just taking a course, taking an online course that someone is offering that's teaching me more about marketing, that is valuable to me. And I have done that several times. I've invested over $15,000 in myself over, you know, a course of maybe 2-3 years now, but just reinvesting that time and money into myself so that I can be a better marketer, a better entrepreneur, a better business owner. And I highly advocate that for anybody. You've got to always have some type of continuing education.
Yeah. You know, you said a few things there, and I want to maybe pull out a few of those thoughts. One of the things that came to mind as you were talking was this notion that we hear from time, jack of all trades, master of none. People who go out, you know, you ask, what do you do? And they give you a list of about 6 to 8 things that they do. And the truth is, we've learned some things. When I say we, research has shown that this whole notion of multitasking is actually counterproductive in our own personal growth and development. It doesn't give us a chance to really engage in a meaningful and significant way on growing our product, growing our brand. And so when you define yourself as a marketer or public relations person, talk to me a little bit about the value of people really being able to identify themselves as something on this path of self-improvement, because if you're trying to do 6 to 8 things, you're probably not going to get any done at a level that can experience maximum benefit.
Right. Someone who says tries to cover the whole gamut. You know, marketing is a big topic. It's a lot of different ways that you can go in marketing. So I don't want to profess to be a jack of all trades in marketing. I don't want to. I want to focus on a niche market, on you know, a particular avenue of what I want to dive deep into. And if you say you market everything and you can do all things and you're talking to everybody and anybody, you're really talking to nobody. Nobody's listening to you. You're not a master of anything. And I firmly believe that. And so, you know, fine tuning who you want to do business with also fine tunes what type of business you do.
Yeah, and I think that is such an important message for people to hear because, of course, you and I both are out there a lot, talking to a lot of different people about a lot of different things. We see a lot of things too, and I'm always kind of intrigued by the person who's presenting themselves as something that is probably good, but probably could be better, and certainly could be best. And as we talk about good being the enemy of best, we see that so many times in people's lives as they accept the level of mediocrity without really harnessing their energy and developing in ways. You mentioned something, as I said, I'm going to extract a few things. The cost of making ourselves better, the cost of self-improvement. If there's one person that we should always want to invest in, it should be ourselves.
Right. And, and I firmly believe that. And it took me a while to get to that because as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that's a scary thought, spending that kind of money because you don't know if you're going to be able to make that back or, just all kind of crazy thoughts go through your mind. But it's well worth it. I am that much better of a business owner, of a marketer, of an entrepreneur because I have invested in myself. And that gives you a level of self-confidence that, yes, I am worth that. My business, my ability to do good business and to be a good marketer, to be a good entrepreneur is worth that time and money that I've invested. And I work hard. I work hard for what I've earned. And so, yes, I deserve to improve my status as a marketer, as a business owner. I'm a fan of lifelong learning and, finding, these opportunities to do that is just something that I have made a promise to myself. I read a book once and they talked about that you've got to invest in yourself. If you want people to believe in you, you want people to pay you money. Why are you not paying money to improve yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Talk a little bit for us about growing a team. Oftentimes we think about ourselves, even in the entrepreneur space, as I'm the one. And you may be the driving force, but I'll guarantee you're not going to go very far if it stays just you. And so this whole notion of growing a team, talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So I have a team and I've had to learn to let go of a lot of the day-to-day things, a lot of the client work, the detailed client work. I had to define a role for myself so that I could allow myself to hire others and trust others with that. And as an entrepreneur, as a lifelong learner, I look for people who have that same spirit. Even though you may work on my team, I need you to have an entrepreneurial spirit. Don't just look at something as, oh, well, she didn't tell me all the, this, I might experience this. Be willing to think outside the box. That's something that an entrepreneur is going to look for because things come up. You've got to know how to think on the fly and figure out what to do. Think like a business owner. And I also look for people who are willing to learn. I don't want somebody coming to me and say, yeah, I know everything about marketing. There's nothing you can tell me that I don't already know. I don't need to learn anything else. You are not the person I need on my team. And I've had that from people that are seasoned experts and people that are fresh out of college. You can't tell them anything. And that's a problem. No matter what you're doing, you've always got to be willing to learn. And if you make a mistake, I look at that as a learning opportunity. That's not an automatic exit from my team. That's an opportunity for me to learn to be a better manager, better boss, and for you as my team member to be a better team member and learning what to do, when to do, how to do. Those are two very important things for me. And, that doesn't come with a degree. That's you're kind of born with that sense of I'm going to figure out this problem. I'm not going to say, oh, I can't figure it out, so I'm just going to get that back to Nikki.
Yeah.
That's not the person I want on my team. If you can't figure it out after you've done the due diligence, yes, give it back to me and let's work on it together. But don't just say, you know what, I'm throwing my hands up. I can't figure it out. You can have it. It's your company.
Definitely don't want that person.
No.
Part of that whole growth space also involves this whole notion of technology and how technology continues to evolve. And, You know, a lot of people that jump into the entrepreneurial space are old school people. They didn't necessarily start out with technology, and because technology moves so fast, and that today we have things that make the job so much easier, but it takes learning sometimes in order to be able to utilize those things. You reference online courses and other kinds of opportunities that people can take advantage of. This is, of course, I think one way that people can really benefit from developing themselves through taking classes to learn about technical skills.
Yeah, and a lot of people are offering them that are all over the country. You know, that's one of the things that COVID taught us, that it's a global world. You can take a course from somebody that's in Japan, or somebody that's in Australia, or somebody that's in Huntsville, Alabama, and they've got a student in California or Australia or whatnot. But look at the quality of what they're offering, and they're going to give you maybe a webinar that's free, so you can kind of test the waters and see their teaching style and see what they're going to be teaching. And if it's things that you want to learn, bite the bullet and just go on and do it. You know, I made some signs that, you know, just do it. You know, when you're sitting on the fence and you don't know what to do. And there's a little project I had with my boys when they were younger. We made the Nike symbols, and we just put just do it. So when you're sitting on the fence, I just pull out that sign, and I use that for myself now. Just do it. It's going to make you better, stronger, more effective in what you're doing, and make you more confident about what you're doing, because you've got some more skill behind what you're doing and more knowledge behind what you're doing. And you can explain things a little bit better when you have a little bit more knowledge.
Well, the notion of lifelong learning, I think, is critical to business success. It's critical to life success. And the idea that no one at any time knows everything there is to know. And one of the most exciting things about life to me is that there is the unknown. What is there out there that there is to learn and be able to benefit from? So as people are listening this afternoon, I hope that they take that lesson away from this conversation in a meaningful way, so that they set themselves up for greater success as we move on. We're talking this afternoon with Vicki Moore. She is the founder of an amazing organization that provides marketing services, face-to-face marketing. She does a whole bunch of things, actually, but that's one of the main things that she does. And in that capacity, she serves as a coach sometimes. She serves as a motivational speaker or technical speaker, and helping people understand the dynamics of these things. She works alongside other people as well, helping them hone their craft and so many things. And we're talking to her this afternoon about a few things. Number one, we've been talking to her about how do we invest in the process of growth and development in the business space. But Vicki, you also, and I wanted to spend a little time in the last minutes that we have here today, you also have an initiative, Marketing Mastery for Entrepreneurs, where you do a deep dive into this space. So we've already said to people they need to invest in these things and they need to find ways to be able to get connected to the information. Tell us a little bit about this journey that you take people on who want to become better at mastering this craft.
Yeah, so with the courses that I've taken and looking at, other people teaching courses, I decided that I can do more service and more good for business owners by teaching them what I know, pulling back the curtain and telling you everything that I know about marketing. And so that's what I'm doing. I've developed this course where I'm teaching you about the steps of marketing. I'm teaching you how to do your marketing. Everybody can't afford the services that I do. So this is a way to do it in a way that it's digestible. I'm taking you through the things that you need to know to be a good marketer. And one of the first things is understanding who your ideal client is. A lot of business owners don't know that, and they're throwing everything on the wall and talking about all the features of their business, when a client doesn't really care about the features. They care about the benefits. How is it going to help me? How is it going to help me make more money? How is it going to help me solve my problems? How is it going to help me grow my business? So that's what people are listening for. That's what they want to know. And so you've got to craft your message so that you're giving them what they want, and you get instant credibility. And when you have credibility, people will want to come to you for more and more things. And so that's one of the things that I teach people, and it's about communication. So, I'm a marketer, but my focus is on communication strategies. And so we talk about building your communication strategy, whether it's email marketing, social media marketing, what's on your website, what should be and what shouldn't be on your website, where it should be on your website. That's all important. And I even go into color psychology. That is a real thing, because if your ideal client is, men in their 50s to 60s, you don't want to have a bunch of pink and purple on there. Even though that may be your favorite color, that's not how you choose colors to go on your website or on your brand. And there's a psychology to that. And that's one of the things that I go into. Social media strategy. You don't just say, oh, what am I going to put on there today? I'm going to put this on there today. And then tomorrow, what am I going to put on there tomorrow? No, you have a strategy. You need to have a call to action. And in marketing world, we call that a CTA. You need to give people something to do. And then you also need to know, what is your unique selling proposition? What makes you special? What makes you unique in your industry? And one of the courses that I'm doing, one of the classes that I'm doing, I talk about business advisors. And I talk about 4 different business advisors that I know and how they are specialized in different areas. One goes after women who want to scale their business. Another goes after people who want to do a VIP day to take a deep dive on what they're doing. Another looks for businesses that are at $1 million in sales or more. And another looks for people wanting to define an exit strategy, for their business. So they're all business advisors and business coaches, but they have different niche markets. That's their unique selling proposition and how they can survive in a crowded market by focusing in on what makes them unique and niching down. Don't say that, I'm coaching everybody. I'm coaching anybody. You can't do that. And so those are the things that I try to talk about and what we do. And I'm a big fan of systems. I used to be a systems engineer, and having a system to get things done, to send your emails out, to send your social media out, to organize your invoices, when things need to go out and when invoices need to go out to clients and reminders need to go out to clients. Having those systems in place, yes, you can do that just, raw, but you are not going to have enough time in the day to get everything done if you don't have a good system. And so having a good system is one of the things that I talk about in my Marketing Mastery for Entrepreneurs course.
Yeah, and you said some really, really valuable and helpful things. I hope that people are taking some notes. Wanted to circle back around to the social media piece for a moment, because I actually fell into this trap years ago. Been with Facebook ever since the beginning, and maybe 1 or 2 years into the process, I would post something on Facebook and somebody would say, well, I didn't see it. And I said, oh, I didn't know about it. Now I know maybe you didn't see it, because Facebook has all these crazy algorithms and all these strategic things that they do to, connect people and all of that and reward people for certain kinds of engagement and that kind of stuff. And so people that are out there, and I know there are people listening right now, because they're saying the same thing now that I said 10 years ago. They're saying, well, I put it on Facebook. I'm in a board meeting and somebody's talking about the social media strategy, and somebody else is talking about, let's put it on this TV station. Well, you'd have to be watching that TV station at that time in order to see it, or you'd have to be connected to that person on the social media medium in order to be able to see so people need to really think in strategic ways that you're talking about when it comes to that, and learning how to do that is essential to a person's success.
Yes. Hashtags, one of the systems I use is Airtable, and I have a hashtag bank of, things that I can put on different posts so that it's going to reach the target audience. And so, understanding that and tagging people strategically and having consistency within your post and having keywords in your post, that's going to help that algorithm and that reach for people as well. And people need to make sure that what they like is identified on their personal profile because that's going to affect what you get fed on your news feed. So there's so many things that go into it, but just being authentic, original, and consistent, whether it's once a day, it's 5 times a day, it's once a week, whatever it is, be consistent and ask good questions. Have great content. Don't just post just to be posting. Have good content on there and have a path. You know, when I do a social media strategy for a client, I do a 3-month plan for them. So we've got things that we're wanting to accomplish over a 3-month period. And we've got different types of posts. We've got, you know, tips posts. We've got inspirational posts. We've got teaser posts about different things that are coming up. And we've got sales posts where we're asking people to buy something or to do something. And we've got posts that are directing people toward the website or directing people to make a phone call or to get in the DMs with people. So you want to get people's attention on Facebook and social media, but you want to get them off social media and on the phone or in your office. So you've got to have a strategy that's going to gear people toward that where you want them to be.
What is the risk for a business owner of being on social media in ways that could perhaps be controversial or create tension or distorted images or perceptions about a person's business? In other words, you know, if I'm out there and I've got this business X, but yet I'm also constantly making political statements, or I'm constantly talking about other people or posting memes that, you know, cause me to laugh, but are maybe perhaps insulting to someone else. What's the professional risk in doing that type of thing? Because some people clearly don't seem to get it still.
Right. So you're going to alienate people, and you got to think about, am I alienating people that are in the target audience that I want to do business with? Am I going to put this post up just because I think it's funny and I, you know, agree with this statement? Is it going to rub my target audience the wrong way? Do I know who my target audience is? Do I know what they're looking for and what types of content that are going to be triggers for them? You know, for me, social media is about business. I have a personal page and I share personal things. I have a business page and I have a public figure profile, but it's all about business. So I want people to get to know me on a personal level, but if my politics are going to possibly create a negative connotation in my target audience, the people I want to do business with, it's not going up. And you have to understand that. You know, we tell, you know, when my boys were little, we would tell them, whatever you put on social media, whatever you put out there, make a 30-year decision that you're going to be proud of that in 30 years because it can come back and get you in 30 years. So you want to be mindful of that. And I tell even my clients that be mindful of what you put on your private, on your personal pages, because people can, it's searchable. If it can hurt you, don't put it up there. If it can bite you in the end, don't put it up there. Be mindful of that because, you know, people are going to stalk you on social media if they want to do business with you.
Yeah, even if you say something that, you know, your explanation is, but I can defend what I wrote. You know, you have to think about the consequences of what you write, because everything will leave a footprint and everything will find you as a consequence of that. And people do need to be mindful about those kinds of things because they do have consequences. We've seen students kicked out of school. We've seen people's careers get damaged significantly as a consequence of these kinds of things. And so people just need to be mindful. Yeah, you got to think about what you're doing and think about the consequences of, you know, if somebody takes that the wrong way. Yeah. You know, is it going to hurt your business? Is it going to put you out of business? Is it worth it? Yeah. Probably not. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I think that is, like, for me, the bottom line. Is it worth it to put yourself out that way? Vicki, you may have something coming up with regards to what we're talking about and how you can help people. Is there anything happening? Yes. So I am launching Marketing Mastery for Entrepreneurs tomorrow. So the first course, first class goes out tomorrow, and I'm excited about that. What, not necessarily tomorrow. You mean Monday, or let's make sure we got Wednesday. The right time frame. Nope. Yes, it goes out Wednesday. Wednesday. What date Wednesday?
January 18th.
All right. So that actually kicked off last Wednesday, but people can, because remember, Vicki, you've been here long enough to know what's happening.
Yes.
You know, you just, okay. All right. Just want to make sure people can track you. And how can they find that information?
Yes, so you can go to my website, face-to-face-marketing.com, and find out the courses that we're going to have available. You can follow me on social media, Vicki W. Morris on Facebook, and Vicki Morris on LinkedIn. We'll have posts about that and how you can get involved in that course, and give you a little bit of a teaser about what we're going to be talking about and when we're going to drop the courses. So we're going to drop a course about once a month, and we'll probably have some intermediary things in there. I'm building the course as we go now, so we are excited about having that first course launch. We've got a few people in, and I'm constantly pushing that out on email and social media to get more people in there. And this is just another way that I can share. I can do one job for someone. I can build one website, or I can tell 50 people how to build a website. I can tell 100 people how to build a social media strategy, or I can do one for a client. So, this is something that I'm excited about. I love teaching. I love seeing the light bulb go off in people's eyes when they've learned something that made something a little bit more simple for them. So I'm excited about this new aspect of things that I'm doing. And so if you're wanting to know about marketing and communication strategies, come check out Marketing Mastery for Entrepreneurs.
That is absolutely awesome. And of course, something that everybody listening today can learn more about. We hope that they'll go out and do that for sure. Vicki Morris, she's the founder of and the owner of Face-to-Face Marketing. She's deep and steeped in knowledge and wisdom and understanding about the marketing landscape, and she's willing to share her knowledge and expertise with you. So we hope that you'll check out her social media sites, her website, LinkedIn, all of the places that she's at, so you can get more information about that. Vicki, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to next time.
All right. We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Vicki Morris joining us this afternoon, sharing some good information. I hope you guys took lots of notes, because she really did drop a bunch of nuggets about how to get it done. And since we are in 2023, all of us should be talking about ways to get it done. And I hope that you learned a lot about what she said this afternoon, and that you'll follow up with her so that you can learn so much more. I'm going to come back in just a minute and tell you about our big show for next Sunday. I'm Kenny Anderson at Second Chance. I hope that you're having an amazing day.
Perhaps you have some ideas, comments, or suggestions that you would like to share. Or perhaps you'd like to be a guest on the broadcast. We'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to email Kenny Anderson at mxlife@aol.com, or you can like us on the Second Chance Facebook page. That's 2ND Chance. And now, back to more of Second Chance with Kenny Anderson.
Once again, we've had a great show today, and I want to thank all my guests who participated in our conversation, beginning with Aprecia Faulkner, based in Chicago. Aprecia is the founder of Global Strategists Association, and we always appreciate the information that she has to share with us. Joining us on Perspectives in Education, featuring Drake State Community and Technical College, Dr. Patricia Sims, the president, Dr. Marina Kingsbury, director of grants and sponsored programs, and Sade Tate, an intern in the Frontiers program. We thank her for being here, all of the ladies for being here this afternoon. The ladies of the Women in Power panel, Tiffany Whitlow, Felicia Beaulieu, and Donicia Tibbs for joining us this afternoon. And then the founder and owner of Face-to-Face Marketing, Vicki Morris, joins us for a segment called BYOB, Be Your Own Boss. She comes on quarterly, sharing great information and perspective about best practices in business. On next Sunday, we're back with the fellows again on the What's Going On segment of the broadcast, where we'll have insight and perspective on all the hottest topics that are happening today. In the meantime, I hope you have a great rest of the week. Remember, as always, knowledge is better than riches. Have a great afternoon, and we'll talk again soon. Good day.
Thank you for tuning in to Second Chance. We hope that the information that was shared has been a blessing to you and that your life will be enriched as a result of it. We'd love to hear from you. So please send your email comments to Kenneth Anderson at mxlife@aol.com. That's mxlife@aol.com. And check out our Facebook page, 2ND Chance. That's 2ND Chance. In the meantime, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next week. Good day.